Hey, Gary Gensler, leave the markets alone, man. Oh, man, Gary Gensler comes out on mainstream media targeting crypto again, just under 24 hours since he issued a Wells notice to Robinhood for illegally listing security tokens. He now heads out on mainstream news calling crypto a scam, saying that there's many bad players and even weighing in on whether Ethereum is a commodity. I'm going to break down and play the snippets of what he mentioned. If you appreciate these updates, smash the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. First and foremost, guys, let's take a look here at the Bitcoin chart. And as you can see, Bitcoin is trying its best to consolidate around this mark between 63,000 to 64,000. As I mentioned in yesterday's update, if you haven't watched that, make sure you go watch that. All the key levels on the Bitcoin chart, I covered off clearly there. We need to break above this level, guys. We've got to create a higher high. Without that higher high, we risk the chance of curling over. Fortunately, we are above our 4-hourly EMA ribbon, but even then, we've got to bounce. We can't just show this weak energy here, which is what we're showing now. From a technical perspective, let's get above 64.6 and start working our way upwards. We need to push through this level if we want to keep any bullish momentum. If I switch this up to the daily chart, then what you now notice is that we are still just trying to fight for this EMA ribbon, right? Let's bring that EMA ribbon out. Let's clear out some of these lines. Look at this. We're hanging precariously. We're still below the EMA ribbon. Yes, it's a green candle today, but we are still below it. If tomorrow or later on today when I'm uploading this video, this ends up being a red candle, we start getting pushed down to this direction, guess what? We've got lower highs after lower highs. Here's a high, lower high, lower high. This is a horrible downtrend. The EMA ribbon is already flipping and the bears take strong control. So it's critically important over the next couple of days, we can get above our EMA ribbon and get a daily candle close above it. We're not very far off. I mean, we're talking a daily candle close above 64,000, above 64.2K will do the job for us. But every time we try to wick up, we get pushed down by the bears. Every time, even today, we wicked as high today as 64.4, wicked back to the downside. So it's imperative that we can get above our daily EMA ribbon. And that's only going to happen if we show strength here on the 4-hourly chart. Bounce with vengeance, not like this. Bounce properly and go push beyondwards up towards the 64.5K range, okay? Now, this is not being helped by what Gary Gensler is doing, right? The guy seems to be on a mission to target crypto. But what's interesting is that he only seems to do it when crypto is doing well. If you remember at the start of the year when he was coming out guns blazing, well, guess what? Now he's doing it again. Take a listen to what you had to say.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is when you look at the headlines today around what the SEC is doing and what your priorities are, it's hard to tell how much of your focus today is on the stock market writ large versus the world of crypto and trying to figure out.
So this is a really good question straight off the bat, right? Why are you so focused on crypto? We know TradFi, and this is something I've said time and time again. I come from a traditional finance background. I was in investment banking during the financial crisis. I know exactly what happens. We know all the bad things that happen in TradFi. So it's kind of odd and strange that Gary Gensler is always coming out asserting that this is the wild, wild west, whilst at the same time, Jamie Dimon's interested in crypto. At the same time, Larry Fink over at BlackRock, all the big players are in crypto. You seem to keep wanting to say it's the wild, wild west, as if crime only ever happens in crypto. Is there no crime in fiat currency? Oh, so what about the LIBOR scandal? What about all that stuff? You don't want to talk about all that stuff, do you, Gary? No, you don't. You just want to disproportionately focus on crypto. Very good question here by the host.
Ethereum and other things. How do you see it?
Well, I see it this way. We oversee a $110 trillion capital market. About half of that's the stock market, half, as you might know, is the bond markets and other markets. Crypto is a small...
So guys, 110 trillion like he just said, right? Around 55 of that is the stock market. The vast majority of the rest is the bond markets. And then what we're talking about is crypto, which at its peak is like 2 to 3 trillion, right? 2 to 3%. 2 to 3% of the capital markets. And this is what he's crying about. How much crime could possibly be happening in 2 to 3% of the capital markets?
Of our overall markets. And but it's an outsized piece of the scams and frauds and problems in our markets, because without prejudging any one token, much of this field is non-compliant with...
This is absolute garbage, guys. Straight off the bat. Just think about it logically. $110 trillion market, capital markets, of which 2 to 3 trillion at its peak is crypto, of which half is pretty much Bitcoin, right? And he's saying that there's outsized, right, illicit activity going on in crypto versus fiat currency. Absolute rubbish. It's just outsized in terms of what you want to out versus where you have to shut up because your paymasters have told you don't talk about the scandals in fiat currency because you're propping it up, right? Let's be honest here.
The protections of our securities laws. And so thus, you end up with like an outsized ratio of journalist questions and crypto journalists to market cap.
But is that a function?
He pushes it back on the journalist. Imagine him going, yeah, but the real reason is because you asked me a lot of questions about crypto. What? Did this anchor tell you to sue Coinbase and then Binance chase after, BUSD, go after Huobi, go after all these guys and shut people down left, right, center and chokehold crypto? Was it the anchor asking questions that led you to do that? No. You're focused disproportionately on crypto when you know there are pump and dumps happening in the penny stocks, right? In the traditional markets, day in, day out. You know there are illicit, bad intention actors in TradFi every single day at every single major investment banking. You know there are things like GameStop going on and AMC going on and all the stuff going on with the hedge funds front running. You're paying for order flow. You don't want to go after the elephant in the room. You want to focus on crypto because you know a crypto is a movement by normal people. Right? By normal people, not your paymasters who are running traditional finance. When Ken Griffiths from Citadel or whoever gives you a knock and says, shut up, don't talk about that, mate. Right? If you want to keep your job, shut up. That's the reality of the situation here. So Gary Gensler had to weigh in on that. So this video is brought to you by StakeLayer. Restaking protocols on ETH like EigenLayer and EtherFi have garnered a lot of attention recently with good reason. And this is why I'm excited about StakeLayer, because they are the first protocol doing this on Bitcoin. Bitcoin and restaking are both very strong narratives right now, and StakeLayer is merging the two. With StakeLayer, you can enjoy a user-friendly interface, unmatched security to protect your investments, and transparent processes without hidden fees. StakeLayer's mission is to make Bitcoin earnings accessible, profitable, and secure for investors worldwide. Links in the description below for you to check out this exciting new technology. And remember, as with any crypto project, guys, please do your own research. I'm going to come on to what he said about Ethereum as well. If you appreciate these updates, guys, make sure you smash up likes. Do not forget to subscribe. Now, I do want to touch quickly here on ENA, right? Ethena. I made a very good video on Ethereum. Ethena, go watch that. I did a full breakdown when it was launched of what my take is on this project, right? Long term, I'm not a big believer at this point in Ethena, and I do break it down in my video. I'll link it up for you guys. But I did say in that video, I'm going to trade it, and I shared with my Telegram community that I was entering this trade just earlier today, and look at this big move up here, up 10%, beautiful spot trade here, and again, heading towards our first take profit. If you want to trade with me, incidentally, you can do so. Jump into the Telegram group. It's the first link in the description. Definitely check it out and see how I trade altcoins, how I do my TA, how do I do my setups. You guys can learn using the link in the description. So the main news here leading Ethena up today is the fact that Bybit, yes, Bybit decided to integrate Ethena Labs' USDE, which is their stablecoin, as a collateral asset. So this is a big news for Ethena, right? To have their first major partnership, allows people to use it as collateral and also in spot trading pairs for Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. So naturally, it's moving on that news. So let's then now move on to this, which is we can see here liquidity was grabbed from 62k, excuse my typo, it was grabbed from 62k here below, and now the next set of liquidity, which is around 30 million, not a crazy amount, but it's a decent amount of liquidity here on the short time frame, sits at that 65 level, which ties in with the TA I'm saying. If market wants to move up to 65 right now, that would be a nice bounce off the 4-hour EMA ribbon. It will allow us to close that daily candle above our daily EMA ribbon as well. So hopefully market makers help us by going and grabbing this liquidity at 65. If we can move towards 65, we're in good shape. I mean, if we take a look, let's just jump back into the Bitcoin chart that I'm monitoring. Let me bring out my chart lines again, and you guys can see exactly how I'm monitoring this pattern, right? So you guys know we were in this channel, you know we faked out to the downside, and now what I'm looking to see happen is, can we now start working our way above this center line, right? This is that 67.3 level. That's where we got rejected and sent to the downside. We need to get above there. Get above that 67,000, and then we can work to our top way of the channel at around that 69.70 mark, and then that's when you can break out, right? And that's the real prize. That's the real next leg up, is to catch this move from here, get it on the breakout, and get this all the way up towards the next price target of the next leg up, which is up towards 90,000 and 100,000. And I want to be in the market for that. Forget all this shaking me out. I'm not going to let this shake me out. This is old tactics, right? I'm not going to let this boring sideways movement make me go, oh, crypto's boring, poking the dog with a stick and saying, oh, it's not moving. And then as soon as you sell, boom, off it goes towards 90. And that's how you miss moves, right? Just like you missed this move here, I am not missing the next move when it happens. I'm in the market. I understand this is a consolidation. This is normal. This may take a while to continue grinding for a while, but when it does decide to move, it'll be very nice and powerful to the upside, and I want to take advantage of that. I want to be in that market. So let's wrap up this video by hearing what Gary Gensler had to say about Ethereum as to whether it's a commodity or a security. But before I do so, it's also interesting that yesterday was the second consecutive days of positive inflows into the GBTC Bitcoin ETF. Now, the reason this is important was GBTC was the biggest platform that was selling Bitcoin. After the ETF announcement, they kept dumping, kept selling because people were coming out of GBTC because of the extortionate fees. Now we're starting to see that that's settling. Most people who wanted to get out of GBTC have done so. And in fact, we've now seen 2 days of positive inflow. So long may that continue. If it does, that's a good sign that we can stop the bleeding of these ETF outflows and create more confidence in the market and stop the market from dumping. Because the reality is that even though we know that GBTC was selling, it will still have an effect on the market because of the liquidity in the market, because of the leverage in the market. Whenever the market dumps that much BTC in one go, we know a lot of retail traders, etc., have all of their stop losses with the liquidation prices and they get wrecked. So a 2% dump could lead to a 10% fall, etc., etc. All right, so what did Gary Gensler have to say? Let's wrap up on this one here.
Ultimately, and I think this is the big question in crypto land right now, is Ethereum a commodity or is Ethereum a security? And therefore, will there one day be an ETF? That's the fundamental question on the table in crypto land. You agree?
Oh, you're the one that's out there asking the questions. All I would say is, to me, the fundamental question is how do we ensure that the American investor is protected? And right now, they're not getting the required or needed disclosures. And the intermediaries in the center of this rather centralized market generally are conflicted and doing things we would never allow the New York Stock Exchange to do. The New York Stock Exchange is not allowed to trade against the investors.
Okay, but let me ask you about this. You've seen the consensus lawsuit, and I know you have a Wells notice with them as well. This is Patrick Henry saying the following, and I want you to respond to it. Just months after a federal judge sanctioned SEC enforcement lawyers for lying in court, new evidence shows that Chair Gary Gensler himself misled Congress. The testimony to the Financial Services Committee last April, Chair Gensler refused to answer questions about the SEC's classification of Ether, and new court filings show this was an intentional attempt to misrepresent the Commission's position.
We speak to Congress directly in hearings like that and also directly to members, and we share with them accurately what we're doing so that the viewers can also understand we don't speak about whether we have an investigation or whether we don't have an investigation, and we don't speak about whether somebody is, in our opinion, not following the law unless we actually bring a case. So we stay.
So there you have it, guys. Gary Gensler avoids the question and continues to attack crypto. The reality is we know that he's the one on borrowed time. We know that he's a horrible, horrible SEC chair, alien-looking face, just there to kind of, belittle crypto and crush crypto. But the crypto market continues chugging along from 15,500 to now sitting comfortably at 63,000. We know they're going to try crypto. We know they tried to crush crypto since 2008. If they could, they would have already. The fact is they can't, which is why all the big players, Larry Fink over at BlackRock, all of these big, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon over there, they're all adopting crypto. Even if they're not saying they are, they're doing so in the background. So I'm not going to be shaken out. I'm going to continue to DCA, continue to add to my bags. I'm not going to let these guys try to manipulate my investments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.